Brooklyn Parker, and I am the Figure Skating Development and Program Coordinator at the RINK.
My name is Bert Laurent. Most people know me as Lancon, but family knows me as Laurent. I've been a high competitor in my youth as an athlete. Trained some kids in California in the art of figure skating. And I came here and I work with Brooklyn and the RINK here as a consult. And I just really love seeing the kids progress from doing little swizzles on the ice and maybe someday competing at World Olympic level. I mean, that's our goal, is to find the best from these kids. And I'm blessed to be able to have the chance to work here at the RINK.
I got into figure skating because my mom is a coach. So my mom brought me on the ice at about 2 years old. Yeah. And I believe I hated it and I screamed and I cried, but I developed a love for it as time went on. So I did start in the Can Skate program. That program looked a lot different when I was 4 years old to what it does now. I went through that and then into our club's Star Skate program from there. I developed quickly and became a competitive figure skater, which gained me a lot of experience nationally in Canada. I went to a Canada Games in 2011. I competed at the national level from pre-novice until junior. But one of the biggest differences I find now from what I did growing up is the off-ice portion of it and how important that off-ice is now and how much it's integrated into the sport. I would say training-wise, when I grew up, it maybe wasn't as structured. There wasn't as much detail to the lesson plans on the ice. But most of it now is coming from that off-ice development, as we spend as much time off the ice as we do on the ice.
I think kids nowadays are benefiting from the computer age. There were so many years of computer testing done on just the biomechanics of the body and what the pounding of falling and just the dynamics of the pitch of a jump and all that. They're benefiting from that today. When we were skating, I know when I was skating, a computer was this big machine in a room.
Yes.
You know, and now, I mean, we can look at our phone and videotape
and see it. And there's so much more video analysis done now too, where that came in my later years of skating, but that's something we use right from the learn to skate level now. Yeah,
we're seeing that now because there are juvenile girls in the United States. I've just learned this, probably here too in Canada, because Canada, United States is very much on the same plane for competitive skating. There's juvenile girls that have triple jumps.
Oh, yes.
You know?
Yeah, and you have to.
And that's 10 years old.
Yes.
I wasn't even skating at 10. No, I mean, how I started, I roller skated. So I grew up in the swamps of Louisiana, and there's no ice there unless it's in your cocktail, you know. So I roller skated, and I started out with speed skating, and there was one problem I had is I was slow. So I was like, well, I like skating. What am I going to do? So I joined the club. I started dancing, and then pair skating. I did some singles and all that, but we moved to Texas, and I took from a coach there. But my goal was really, I just wanted to make the Olympic team. That was my big dream. I wanted my name to be in the history book so I'd be remembered. That's all. Medals, that would have been great, but it's all political.
Yes.
It's timing. You get one chance, for that. And I switched to ice skating when I was a senior in high school. So I completely changed sports. I had a coach that told my parents, this guy has a talent maybe to live his dream. I moved to California. This coach found me a partner in California. Within 1 year, I was on the junior world team. Timing, once again.
It's pretty crazy.
Roller skating and ice skating, it's similar, but it's from quad wheels to quarter-inch piece of steel. Yeah. And then after that, I'm by the grace of my talent and God and everything, the planets lighting up, I made the Olympics team in 1984. toured with Ice Capades before it was the joke of all sitcoms shows, and worked in Vegas for a while. I had my spandex years, you know. Then I started teaching, and I realized that you know, you don't have to be a great Olympic champion to be a really good teacher. And I was talented, but I had to work hard on it. So I learned how I did the jumps, the spins.
Yeah.
Whereas some of these Olympic champions aren't great coaches. They're so good at it that their brain just does it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how they do it. So they really can't communicate that. And that's what I'm finding, like with the coaches here at the rink and myself, is we have something to give to skating because
Absolutely.
we know how to do it. And we've done it. We've gone up through the proficiency levels with classes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm a fan of what is happening here at the rink and the job that you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think it stems from my love of the sport, first off. I've had a passion for the sport since a very young age, and being able to watch now my skaters go from learn to skate through
Technology.
but yeah, watching my skaters go from the learn to skate level through to their first competitive competition is a really cool experience. And I have the luxury here of I've had to develop this club from the grassroots level.
Yeah,
So I've taken all these kids from learn to skate, taught them how to skate, and then progressed them through our intro to figure skating program, which is still learning the basic skating skills, really, and then into what we now from there have developed the junior development program and the junior performance and all these new levels that we're developing within our club is because the skaters are developing with me, which is super cool.
Well, it goes back to when I teach the little ones. I tell them, you need to learn these basics. You have to have a good structure. And I tell them, if you're building a house and you build it really quick, it's going to fall down. You build the foundation, you build it nice and strong, which is your 1 foot glides, your shoot the ducks, you know.
Yeah. Finding some balance.
Yeah, and you've done that here, and that's the one thing that I really promote is the basics, going through the class, the school system. But then also if you see that a student has the ability to excel, you can guide them through that, and you can also give them this.
Yes.
You know, so that's one thing that I think is really important in developing figure skating.
Yeah. And we're developing not just a skater, but we're also developing a person as well, which is a huge part of the sport too. Like saying our please and thank yous to the ice captain at the door, and learning how to deal with perseverance and
we're not white noise. Parents are white noise.
Yeah.
So we have a job to do is not only develop the physical, but also there's a bit of mental. The kids feel safe coming to us.
Yeah.
We have to make them feel safe.
Absolutely.
Because they have to trust us if we say, okay, now it's time to do a double jump, and they're frightened of it.
Yes.
We have to say, you can do this.
Yes.
You can do it. You know, we have to be
You're
that
ready
motivator.
to do this. Yeah.
And to see the kids land their first jump, or even just get the jump all the way around and fall. And it's like, you got all the way around, you know, little.
There's little achievements along the way.
Yeah. But that aha moment for me when I teach, to see a child's face light up, I don't see it just happening for them on the ice. I see it if they're going to play clarinet at home or tap dance or fire baton, then they're going to have those aha moments, and then they're going to be so proud of themselves. And that's really what I like seeing in my students. I know that when I got those moments with my coach, Young, how it felt.
Yes, and it takes so much work to get to those points too, and there's so many falls and there's frustrating parts along the way as they meet those moments in their life as well. So being able to help them through the hard times, but then you get to celebrate those big moments along the way as well.
Yeah. I had this one student that she would go around and around and around and around, and she would set up for a jump and then go around and around.
That was me.
I told her, and it was like, and her parents thanked me after, right? And I said, if you do that one more time, I'm going to give you a little bit of a punishment. She goes, what is that? I go, just try me. She went around and around, and I was like, okay. So the next day I brought my laundry. She had to iron it. And it worked. She goes, I'm never doing that again. I mean, a couple of times she did go around and around, but it was, you have to have those, those fun, disciplinary, okay, it's early, moments,
Yes.
With the kids,
Yes.
and make them want to come back.
Yes.
Not make them hate skating.
No, I want them to be able to one day share the love that I have for the sport too.
Yeah, but I've seen the face on you sometimes where you're like, come on. And I like that. You have to have that.
Yes.
It's a
Yeah,
balance.
there's an expectation when they walk through these doors too. We're here to have fun, and we're here to develop a love for the sport, but we're also here to train, and we have a goal that we need to achieve. So.
Yeah, well, I had spent 15 years in Las Vegas on stage in a big production show, and I retired from my spandex days. I was 39 years old. And I still feel like I wanted to be a part of figure skating. Mm-hmm. And I saw kind of the direction that things were going with my life. And I certainly didn't want to work at H&R Block. Not that I'm above that. I just couldn't do it. So I said, well, you know what? This is what I've done my whole life. This is what I've worked on. I've gotten the degrees, being Olympic and world competitor. Use it. So I was living in Las Vegas. I was driving to California for weekends from Thursday to Tuesday, driving back home. I had a child, wife, and I started with classes. I did all classes, got a couple private students that way. And I just felt still part of figure skating. I wasn't doing the figure skating. I was now creating the figure skating, and it almost made me feel like I was starting over as a kid, I can't imagine my life outside of figure skating. I mean, here I am, I'm 64 years old now. I haven't been teaching for a while. I met you. I met people here at the rink, and it brought me back, and it was like a smoldering fire that never goes out. And then you guys stoked it with this great energy and oxygen. And when I walked in the rink, I'm like, gosh, I want to be a part of this. So I kind of feel like I'm the old guy just hanging around giving my words of wit. Sometimes they're not smart, but sometimes I kind of know what I'm doing. But I really love giving a part of my history, my knowledge that I've worked 43 years on. And seeing if I can still make a difference, And then when I feel like I'm not, or when I'm told I'm not, then I'll pack up my bag and start painting.
Painting. I don't think we'll ever stop reaching out. To have your mentorship here is such a huge thing. As a young coach coming up through this system, and I have my mom as a great mentor, and I have some of my other coaches as great mentors, but to have someone that has been also to that Olympic level that we can reach out to is very special. We appreciate it.
Yes, well, that's all I needed for today and for the rest of my month. No, thank you. And one thing I saw great ability in the rink. If I had the rink when I trained in the 80s, I flew to California to Canada with my partner from California. We trained in Toronto. Mm-hmm. I would have just stayed in this one spot here at this rink, and then knowing what your capabilities are, and me being able to mentor you, being allowed to mentor you, because that's a gift that both of us are giving one another, and that's what a mentor and person that you're helping gives one another. I am so proud to be a part of this, and whatever I can be a part of and help, it's like, why not? It'd be kind of a shame to hold it and not give it out, right?
I agree.
Yeah. So.
Well, when the opportunity was presented to start a figure skating school here, we had no choice but to build it from those grassroots levels. So we first implemented the CanSkate program, and then built from there. We did right away start the intro to figure skating level, which was a very basic introduction to figure skating, where they are learning those basic fundamental skills to allow them to progress to bigger jumps and spins and lay that foundation for them. So that intro to figure skating level, we're still working on 1 foot gliding, we're working on stopping, we're working on cross cuts,
The foundation.
Yeah, the foundation.
Yeah.
Those basic skating skills that a skater needs to be able to learn how to jump and spin and make that process easier as well. We started that with 1 day a week, and then we built that to be 2 days a week, and now we have 3 days a week, and they're always looking for more ice. But that was where the program started. So the intro to figure skating, for anyone new that's coming in, they go through our CanSkate program, and once they have passed stage 2 of our CanSkate, which is those basic 1 foot glides, they can come into the figure skating program, where we keep developing those skating skills further. Once they have passed the CanSkate program, or at a coach's discretion, have the ability to be a potential competitive skater and have that kind of drive and fire in them, we move them to what our junior development program is, and that's where they start to compete. So now we're learning all of their single jumps, working towards an axel, learning sit spins and camel spins. The training environment with every level that they progress through becomes a little bit more structured and a little bit more serious.
Off ice.
Off ice training. Yep, they train off ice for at least 30 minutes before, after every session that they do. We've incorporated a little bit of dance into our programs as well, which is a huge part of figure
There's a
skating.
lot to off ice. There's the physical running and
strength
agility. There's ballet. There's stretch.
Yes.
You also, one thing that you have here is you have your physical therapist here. If you have an injury, or you can stop the injury and they can still skate. Whereas, some rinks that I went to, it was just ice.
Yes,
So that's a huge plus.
Have it all under one roof.
Right.
Yeah, and then once they get through that junior development, and they've learned all their single jumps and they have that foundation, and now they're landing an axel, they become a junior performance skater, which is our competitive stream. We're pushing these kids now to be competitive figure skaters. They have a little bit more one-on-one attention, as well as a lot of group focus on the ice as well. They're starting to learn how to set goals and what their goal for each practice session is. They have that goal for their whole season, but what are those little tiny goals that we have to do now on every session to get us?
Goals are massive for young athletes, and that's one thing I notice here at the rink. Figure skating is a sport of repetition.
Yes.
But the repetition needs to lead to an ultimate goal, and it's short-term goal, medium goal, and ultimate goal. And that's one thing that you know about, and you're giving to the sport. I know about, and I can help to give to the sport and to the rink. So we've got it all here. The only one thing we're missing here.
What's that?
Coffee shop and beer garden. What is up? No beer, no coffee. I want a Danish.
Danish. We'll put that request in.
Yes, I'm working on it right now. I've talked to restaurants and everything. No, I'm kidding. So the one thing that you're offering here at the rink is skating 12 months a year. I think is brilliant, because figure skating, like I said, is a sport of repetition. It's not like riding a bike.
No, it's not.
At all. You take a week off, and you're taking 1 to 2 days to get back to the feeling of spinning, of jumping. Your muscles change.
Yes.
So for the rink to offer this 12 months training, and there are ebb and flows. Like
the rest periods are built in.
But you have to skate.
Yes.
You have to keep the skating going.
Yeah.
Or it rusts, just like your body will rust like the blades rust if you don't keep them.
And you notice a big difference when those kids come back from a Christmas break, or when even if they're sick and they've missed a few sessions, you notice a big difference in just their awareness of their body on the ice. And
well, this is where we also teach for a life goal or a life story is dedication and discipline. So that's part of the dedication and discipline. Like I said, whether you leave here and play clarinet or tap dance, you know, you have to learn what that is to make an ultimate, not sacrifice, but pretty much it is, because you may not be able to go to the school dance once. You know, you have a competition, or you want to go and get a proficiency level qualification.
I used to miss school dances like 3 weeks before a competition because I didn't want to get sick. So there's always it's a lot of sacrifice in this sport, but it pays off. So.
It does. Well, it'll trickle onto the skater as an adult.
Yes.
You know, because you're going to find it in the workplace. You're going to find it with family. So the development is not just figure skating. It's
the person.
It starts with that level. And the youth these days, you know, they're so sensitized with the phones and the websites and all that. And then when you're on the ice, it's a Zen moment that people don't realize anymore. We used to talk about those Zen, you know, and all that stuff. But when you're on the ice, you're there. You're not really thinking about anything else. It's like the most gift that we can give our children is to take all of that technology away, and it's purely physical, purely mental, and there's nothing really that's going into their head. They're skating, they're having fun, they're being kids.
Yes, exactly, which is such a huge thing as well. I find so many of their lives are so structured, and they always have, their schedule is so regimented, and it is on the ice too, but it's in a different way.
Kids need that.
Yeah. You're developing like...
Otherwise they're raised by wolves.
Well, with my kinesiology degree that I took, I started in Testify Upstairs. And having the understanding and the knowledge of how their body needs to be trained and what they need to do differently depending on the time of year they are at in their competition season as well. And also just understanding how to develop a young athlete. Figure skating is different sometimes than other sports because we do have to specialize way younger than a hockey player does. But teaching them fundamental movement qualities off the ice that make them good athletes.
Right.
And then developing those figure skating qualities alongside of it.
You going through all of the education, you can tell the student, well, what's the difference between a fast twitch muscle and a slow twitch muscle? Which muscle do you use to do this jump or this skill?
Yes.
And, you know, we have that here at the rink, and that's invaluable to these kids because it gives them more knowledge to use to their skating and not just, you know, get out there and do it.
Yes.
You know, and that's where you're coming in.
Definitely.
Doing a great job.
Thanks. Yeah, and the training the basic jump techniques off the ice is something that we do a lot of too. Understanding where their arms need to go as they pull into a jump and what a rotation position feels like. We use the off-ice harness quite a bit to start for them to develop the feeling of staying in and squeezing and spinning in the air. But I found
humans don't normally rotate that
No, we
fast,
don't do that.
You know, it's something we train our bodies to do.
And I found with the intro to figure skaters, even learning those basic jump techniques off the ice has made teaching the jumps way easier.
It's familiar when they get onto the ice.
And it's not as scary. That element of fear has been removed a little bit because they already know where their body should be. And they've developed the strength alongside it to do that.
Yeah.
And then the flexibility is a huge part of that as well.
Yeah, definitely, especially with some of the spin positions that are being done.
Yes.
You know, you're not going to be this bound male figure skater that's out there to do the jumps, you know, the Elvis Styko of the day. Now it's about the artistry. It's about there's a new boy that's coming up in the United States that has the most beautiful spins, and he's flexible, and he's doing quads. He's doing a quad axle. It's 4.5 times in the air.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Gee, Crick, I couldn't do that in an office chair. So and that's it. All comes from off ice.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I was training, when I got to a level that I needed off ice, I did pair skating. I lifted my partner a lot. We did a lot of off ice lifts, training different positions like that. I did go to the gym a bit, but I wasn't privy to the computer age, so I was doing things that was actually making me stiff and developing muscles that I shouldn't be having on the ice. You still have to be, your race car has to be aerodynamic to win the race. And at one point I was getting a little too big and bulky. So I had a coach who was like, no, and we kind of pinpointed the exercise we had to do. Nothing like what's being done today. This was 1981, 82. We did a lot of ballet off ice for stretch and flexibility. The figure skating coach that I was with, he would come into the ballet room and he would make us do spirals and stand in one spot and hold the spiral. Right, and that was invaluable for spins. Jogging wasn't really something that we did. It developed different muscles in the legs. I don't know if that's, I felt it was counterproductive at the time. I think maybe intervals are much better, short distance, fast, explosive sprints, probably, rather than, me putting bad shoes on that, I think Nike might have just come out. Or sandals. At my age, I think ice was just developed. No. So, nowadays there's a lot better off-ice stuff than what I was privy to.
Yeah. I started working with a trainer, I was probably like 13 or 14, but he did help develop a lot of strength in me as a 13-year-old girl that was just kind of skin and bones at that time. He did help develop strength that I needed for my jumps.
Yeah. In real life, it's crazy for a 13-year-old girl, but nowadays, it's you're tuning up that race car.
And what was different then is that I was 13. At this point, at 13, you already need to have developed those qualities and you need to be rotating triples. Yeah. So that was a lot different. Because when I was going through those national competitions as well, you didn't need a triple to do well. You didn't need even a double axel to do well. You saw like the top 6 kids doing that. The rest didn't need it. You just needed quality. And now you see those triples go all the way through. So the off ice wasn't it was there, but it was never as important or made a priority like it is now.
I think when I was 13 or 14, we were just developing the strong eye roll. Nowadays, it's totally different. It's awesome. Yeah. I think it's so important, though, to get the body young. You also have to be careful, too young.
Those
the bones
overuse injuries are huge.
Yeah. And that's one thing you're benefiting from here is, I've seen a kid fall and the arm breaks and it just folds and then it goes back because it's a green bone break. It's not developed. It won't totally break. So you have to have that knowledge here. And that's one thing that the rink, has. It has the knowledge about age development, which is huge. Muscle development, at what age is optimum, which muscles can be trained at this age, and which ones to hold off on. It's the same thing in the ballet world. I don't think they let young ballet dancers do point until they're 14 or 15.
Exactly.
Because the feet are not developed, the bones are not strong. So That's another aspect that is so deep in development that most people don't see, is that kind of knowledge that you know about and the rink knows about, that is invaluable. It keeps our kids safe and healthy.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's our goal. Our job as a coach is to keep these kids safe and healthy and able to train.
Yeah, do what they love.
Exactly.
Yeah. The worst thing I ever see, in the sport is when a kid comes to me and says, Coach Burt, I can't skate for 2 weeks. I'm injured. And it breaks my heart because I see their face. They just want to skate. Or they're worrying that their skating is going to go away, So we are babysitters of the physical body too, So it's an important job we have.
It sure is. It's a big job.
We're up for it. We got this.
It's different.
Yeah.
It was completely different because that was something, we started that about 3 years ago now, and it was something that I had never done, was work with a hockey player on their skating.
Yeah.
So sometimes you're teaching something that's so basic to us, and a hockey player cannot get their body to do it in the same way. So it was a fun challenge for me to figure out how to change how I structure what I'm teaching to be able to teach it to a hockey player and get them to do it.
Oh yeah, no, and that's the thing is, I heard a statistic, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that it was 70% of the hockey NHL teams have figure skating coaches on staff. We do edges and turns, and we recover out of situations of balance so fast that we're teaching this to the hockey skaters, and they'll say to themselves, well, we'll never use that in a real game. I go, but you will.
Yes.
You might have to jump over a player that's sliding with the puck on the ice and recover and grab that puck and make a score. So, I had this one class of these 12, 13-year-old boys, some of the girls too, I had classes, but I said, okay, we're going to skate backwards. Just skate backwards, pick up 1 foot, glide on 1 foot on an outside edge, and boom, 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 boom. They all fell. They could not do it, which was mind-boggling for me, as an outside edge is one of the basic edges, even forward. And they're not really developed that much in hockey skating, or outside edges, much less backwards outside edges. So when I brought the figure skating aspect to edge and power, how to get the most efficiency out of a stride where I can improve your power with less energy.
Exactly.
So at the end of the game, you're more rested, you have more oxygen in your brain, and you're making better choices than when you're tired, no oxygen, and you give the puck away. Here, it's your turn.
Yes.
If
we
it
can
doesn't
make their
work.
skating so effortless that they don't have to think about what their feet are doing, then they can focus on the game more too. Like I find the whole goal of what we're doing with them is trying to make their skating effortless and efficient. And that in turn is going to make them a better hockey player.
The other word that I hear myself when I talk about teaching hockey and power is recovery.
Yes.
And recovery isn't just like, okay, I'm falling, I got to recover. It's the moment that your foot leaves the ice and you bring it back under balance point. And it's something that's new, it's exciting. I think I spent 8 weeks with 3 teams a night, and I just had them going in circles, pushing, pumping, and I know a lot of the coaches and the parents sitting in the bleachers like, who is this guy? First of all, he's in figure skates. And I tell the kids, I said, guess what? I've never hit a puck. I don't know how to hold a stick. But that's not what we're about.
No.
And then the other thing is, I said, okay, take your sticks and go put it on the boards. We're not using sticks. And their head was like, what's going on? I shook up that snow globe. You shook up that snow globe to the point where we made them so disoriented, and then we put them back together by giving them the edges and the power. And now they're seeing that. It's like, oh, he wasn't this crazy fool from California, So it is exciting, and it's a new aspect that we are at the forefront of here at the rink, full on.
Yeah, and it's growing. More people are becoming open
they're
to the
asking for it.
idea of a figure skater teaching their hockey player how to skate and seeing the benefit that it has for their skater as well, or their hockey player.
When I tell them I want rhinestones on their jersey, that's
So pushing it a little bit too far. I've tried to convince a couple of them to switch to figure skates, and they won't do it.
Oh, some of the best figure skate. Well, look at the Olympic champions from Canada, the ice dancers, Moyer and
Tessa Virtue and Scott Moyer.
Yes.
Yeah.
He played hockey all the way until Olympic. I think he's still playing more hockey than figure skating. He was a phenomenal figure skater and a good hockey player.
Yeah. I have an 11-year-old boy right now that I'm working with, and he's a defenseman, and when I got him 6 months ago, he couldn't do a backward crosscut, let alone skate backwards, and now every time he comes back and sees me, he's seen such a huge improvement in his game and something that he's been able to do.
And this.
Yes, and he's happy, and he's enjoying hockey, because before it was something that was frustrating to him, and now he's having fun, and he's seeing improvement in his game each and every time he steps on the ice, and it's super exciting for me as a coach to be able to be a part of that with him.
Hockey is so competitive at that level too.
Yeah.
And to see a child say to themselves, you know that they're saying this because you see it in their demeanor, is I'm actually competitive now. I'm not just one of the guys sitting on the bench, or, I'm on a lesser team.
Yes.
I can actually maybe do this.
Yes.
And that's invaluable.
Exactly. Yeah. And even like the little moments with the RHA teams, and basic things like a 1-foot slalom or an outside edge or a cross cut, and they get excited about being able to do it. It's like, Brooklyn, can I show you this? I can do this now. Is this better? It's those little things that we
I changed the terminology in my classes I don't talk about crossovers. I never say the word crossover, because really the power of a crossover is the under part.
Under push.
So I've made all students call them cross-unders.
Yeah.
And that terminology is such a simple thing. It changes the brain to think, well, we're not crossing over, we're actually stepping in front, directly in front. It's not a crossing. And that
Pushing
power,
under.
they would have never gotten that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that cross
under. The cross under.
is so important, and that's probably one of the things that we spend our most time with on the ice with those RHA teams is building that and how to use each push of it efficiently, and then being able to take that and use a stick. Okay, now we can do it with a stick. Yeah. Now let's add the
They
puck.
get so much stick time in the basement, on the sidewalk, the driveway.
I think I spent 4 months with the teams before I gave them a stick on crossover.
Yeah. Well, it's, and it goes back to the very beginning of this conversation. It's the foundation.
Yes.
Whether it's figure skating, whether it's hockey, whether it's handball, basketball, baseball, the foundation is really important. And that's what we're giving here at the rink, is the foundation. Educated, knowledgeable, smart, fun foundation of sport. If you don't have that, why do it?
True.
It's going to take a lot longer to get where you want to go when you can come here and get what you need and get there with fun and, the right way.
Yeah.
When you look at NHL games and you have a hockey fan, what the one comment that because I don't even know how a hockey game is won. I know it's aggressive golf to me. So you get the ball in that big net, it's a black puck, I get that. But you hear from people who love the sport or who are in the sport about the skater, the hockey player that's the skater. You don't hear about the one that's the stick handler or the puck.
Yes.
That's a given. But the ones that are really good skaters, you hear about.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to be able to skate. I think it's kind of a summary of what we've said. We're trying to build the foundations in these athletes while having fun and create a supportive and competitive environment for these kids that they also feel safe in.
At home and at the rink.
Yes. It's like their second home. They trust us. They're excited to come here. They're excited to build friendships with the other skaters on the ice as well. But I'll also do it in a highly competitive and motivated training environment.
Yeah. But, you know, it's also the ultimate goal that I think that you'll agree with is a dedication and discipline, to teach a child dedication and discipline. You know, before I started roller skating when I was 10 years old, I was in the band. You know, I played the trumpet and I had to practice and I had to go to class, you know, and that was a dedication that gave me a little bit of knowledge what it would take for me to practice in roller skating. And, you know, that's the one thing is I want to see the kids happy. I want to see the parents enjoy allowing their child to develop in such a way.
When we started this figure skating school at the rink, I saw an opportunity to fill a gap in skating in Manitoba. I think COVID majorly affected the competitiveness of the sport here, but there was an opportunity to build a training center under one roof for these athletes, and they can come here and get everything they need to support their goals. Whether it is just to skate because they want to skate and they love figure skating, or it's because they have bigger goals of reaching a national, world, Olympic level.
Yeah.
And
I tell you, I have trained and competed all over the world, and there is not one rink that I've been to that can stand up to the rink's ability to develop in one spot ever. I mean, if I had the time and the energy, I would stand at the door, you would duct tape me to the door, and I'd say, "You're lucky to be here. You're lucky to be here." To every person that walks in this place. I mean, it sounds a bit crazy, but that's how supportive I am in this place, and I know what I'm talking about when I can say I've been to rinks before. I wish I had $1 for every rink I've been in, but I would spend every single one of those dollars here to develop my daughter, you know, in a sport that she loves here at the rink, full on.